NwRésumés.com.
Do you have resume writer's block? The fact is, it's uncomfortable writing when the subject is your own career. Northwest Resumes understands this, and for 11 years, they've been helping top professionals in Seattle and around the country greatly improve their resumes, cover letters, and LinkedIn profiles, and land interviews. All it takes is a 1-hour phone consultation. Call today, 206-448-8586. That's 206-448-8586, or visit NwRésumés.com to get started.
Get a grip on life with Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Brashenomics. You know, there's times in your life when you have to go through these transitions, and in today's economic climate, getting a job or improving your job is certainly one of them. Well, today, Kevin Daniels joins us, owner of Northwest Resumes, which has become the choice of top executives at Microsoft, Amazon, Starbucks, Boeing, and others. And Kevin actually recently appeared on Cairo 7's TV's Seattle's Better Northwest program. Welcome, Kevin.
Hi, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Oh, our pleasure. So, Kevin, you know, transitions, celebration, getting a job, you know, it's a time for celebration, but a lot of people aren't maybe in that dream job. Where do you see people making mistakes, and how could they really improve as far as starting down that path?
Well, sure. If we're talking about just resume development, there are some very common mistakes that folks make when attempting to write their own. One of those is, I think when we first learned how to write a resume, maybe way back in grade school or at some point, we were taught the objective statement was the way that you always start that resume. And it's not really in vogue anymore for one simple reason, and that's that those kinds of statements tend to focus on what you're looking to gain in your own career or your own professional development, as opposed to how you can help that next company or organization solve the problems that they're facing. So instead of that objective statement, what we really strongly suggest is a very developed profile, professional profile, or if you're a bigwig, the executive summary is what we would call that. And what that should do is really bring out, the top 3 or 4 areas in which you excel most, where you can really make a difference for that company that you think you might want to work for.
So as opposed to saying, I really want to work here because it's a stepping stone for my glorious career I'm going to have.
Some people will literally, in their objective statement, will say, because it's the next step to becoming vice president of operations or whatever. And that's all well and good. People like ambitious people, but they care way more about how you're going to actually help them.
Well, and nobody wants to feel like their job offering is a stepping stone to something else.
Right.
I mean, you want them to want the job, I imagine.
Right.
And then, once you kind of get through that, at least helping somebody understand that you want the job, and conveying that, we had talked a little bit on the phone about, kind of as opposed to saying I, we, me,
right.
in a resume.
Right.
And
the resume should really be in the third person, and think of it in terms of it's kind of broadcast style, or not broadcast copy style, but newspaper headline style. Where you're speaking in the third person, almost indirectly, dropping pronouns, that kind of thing. So that's the best way to write what you need to convey, because accomplishments, for example, talking about accomplishments in a little bit of an indirect way, not saying I was the best salesman at whatever company and I broke all these records or whatever. Talking about it in the third person allows you to be a little more comfortable about selling yourself within the resume. And the resume itself, the proper style for resume writing anyway, is to use the third person as opposed to using I.
Does that roll over into then interviews as well? I mean, do you want to talk about your accomplishments there as far as, or in a different way than maybe people think?
You do, but you want to frame those accomplishments within the context of how they illustrate how you're going to be able to help them solve their challenges. So when you talk about those, try to explain, because I can illustrate I've done this in the past, I'm going to be able to help you do this. And maybe I've done a little research on your company and I've found out that this is a particular issue or challenge that you're facing or the industry itself is dealing with. Because I've been successful in doing X, Y, and Z in the past for this other company, that illustrates that I'll be able to help you specifically with this challenge.
So almost creating a parallel between past jobs and what's going on. It's industry specific. So,
right.
I mean, doing some research to figure that out.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that is a talk about cardinal mistakes in the interviewing process. One mistake that folks will make repeatedly is they won't do any real research about that company before they go in there to the interview, or they won't even go to the website. We have this unbelievable resource at our fingertips called the Internet that has a website for that company that will tell you a lot. It will tell you the mission, the vision. It will tell you, what they've done, what they do, what they want to be doing. And so to not be armed with at least elementary information about the company before you go in is a huge mistake.
We have just a few seconds left before we have to go to commercial. But I mean, also, is it worth looking at social media sites as well? I mean, outside of just their regular website, to gather information and go through that process before you go to an interview?
It absolutely is. It is. You can find out information about a company on a number of different social media sites. But the most important thing that I have to stress too, or another really important thing, is not being convinced, if we're talking about interviewing, not being convinced that the place is the right place for you before you even interview with them. It is a process of discovery for you every bit as much as it is for the company itself. You need to find out whether that opportunity or that company is the right place for you.
It almost sounds a little bit like dating. I mean, you gotta, you know, you can't be too aggressive either way, or else you shun the other person away.
Yeah, I think Jerry Seinfeld made that analogy one time.
Oh well, I have great roots, I suppose. Thank you again. That's Kevin Daniels, owner of NwRésumés. If you want to reach out to him or any of our other guests, you can always go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Brashenomics. When we come back, Heather Moore will join us with questions about what companies can do these days to earn your business. My name's Ben Brash, and that was Kevin Daniels. You're listening to Brashenomics.
Do you have resume writer's block? The fact is, it's uncomfortable writing when the subject is your own career. NwRésumés understands this, and for 11 years, they've been helping top professionals in Seattle and around the country greatly improve their resumes, cover letters, and LinkedIn profiles, and land interviews. All it takes is a 1-hour phone consultation. Call today, 206-448-8586. That's 206-448-8586, or visit NwRésumés.com to get started.